All right. Well, good morning, everybody. The meeting of the Texas State Technical College Board of Regents is called to order this Thursday, May 15th at 11:02 a.m. Jennifer, would you like to lead the occasion?
Thank you, everyone. Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to give you all of our thanks and praise. We thank you for the many gifts that you bestow upon mankind and pray that we use those gifts according to your plan. Dear Father, today we ask that you bless each person in this room and give them the knowledge, love, and care to make decisions positively impact all we have the privilege to serve. We ask for your guidance, grace, strength, and love remain present today and forevermore. We ask all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll determine that we have a quorum. I call your name. I request that you indicate your presence remotely and on the big screen. Looking good, Dr. Tiffany.
Thank you, present.
Rob Miso.
Present.
Curtis Cleveland.
Present.
Lizzie Putnett.
Present.
Ron Rohrbacher. Present. Eric Beckman.
Present.
Kathy Stewart.
Present.
Keith Honey is absent, and myself, Ron Widdop, present. We have a quorum. You know, yesterday we saw one of the industry partners, and we had an option. Just thinking about it, we could go to here in the Red Oak area. We could go to a data center that's nice and air conditioned, or we could go to a facility on the hottest day of the year that has 2,200 degree steel. So we chose that. So we had a great trip yesterday, but I'll just say two observations out of that. Is one that struck me is that we're creating a great product for the state of Texas, and what all of us are doing here in this room. It was evidenced yesterday, and it's evidenced by many partners out there that we see each and every day, and that it was really pretty cool to see. And the other thing that happened yesterday, which we heard it straight out of them, was that when they have TSTC education as part of their program, their retention rates go way up. He showed us some stats where they're a partner with us, and they're using TSTC, and they're keeping those people. And that was a pretty cool observation. And we have that all over the state, so the runway is wide open for us, and that was really neat. So with each CCAP project we do, each work site we do, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. So we got a lot of really good opportunities. That was an observation I had yesterday, and really appreciate them. It was Gerdau, the steel mill, allowing us to see their facility, and hot though it may be, it was a great day. Regents, you have the agenda in front of you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Lizzie and Curtis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we'll consider the minutes from the February 2025 board meeting. You have those meetings in front of you as well. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Kathy.
Second.
Thank you, Eric. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we've reached the public comments section of our meeting. Procedures for public comments at TSTC board meetings are governed by Texas statute and bylaws of the Board of Regents of Texas State Technical College. These laws allow for comments from the public on any item contained in the publicly posted agenda before the item is considered by this governing body. This will be the only time during this meeting set aside for public comment. Section 551.042 of the Texas Open Meeting Act restricts the TSTC Board of Regents dialogue in response to public comments. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, the public comment period is concluded. Next on the agenda, the Chancellor's comments. Chancellor, do you have any comments?
Thank you, sir. And as the new chair, I'd like to thank you for the 60 minutes you gave me for my comments today.
We'll go and impeach the chair.
We've had this conversation.
During the last two legislative sessions, more than once, I've heard an elected official refer to TSTC as the real deal. And recently I began thinking, what exactly does it mean to be the real deal? Think about that. And importantly, I thought, how do you know if you're the real deal? And I think there's a lot of answers to that question. But I wanted to kind of focus my comments today on what I think are two indications that that could be true. You generally are the real deal. And so one of them was really brought clear to me just 2 days ago when I was in Marshall at the ribbon cutting for our new diesel building there. And I got to see something that I didn't know was there. And I'd like to share it with y'all. It's a video, and I've got it up on the screen here, and our technical people are going to run it. So what I'll do is I'll let you see it, and then I'll explain it to you. Companies for their region. They also, go ahead and bring this around if you would. When I learned about this whole thing, I thanked Rush for what he was doing. And he came over the very next day and he gave me these bags. And if you would, let's reach down in there.
$100.
At the very bottom, you will find, I'll let y'all dig in there and find it. A medallion, that should be it right there. Yeah. That's a small version. Curtis is holding the medallion. It's in the gold box.
That's heavy duty.
What Rush had in mind was a leave behind that people wouldn't just throw in a desk drawer. That, that they would actually probably display. And he wanted it to mean something to the companies that he was recruiting. And so he reached out to us because the first question, and economically, you'll tell, this, the first question a company will ask is, where's my workforce going to come from? And what Rush knew is the answer is TSTC, is where the workforce is going to come from.
The QR
Yes.
code goes to the video.
If you'll scan the barcode on the back of that medallion, you will see the video on YouTube that I just displayed to you. So I would suggest to you that if you're the real deal,
Yep, it works.
testing it.
No,
It
it's
works.
okay. You want to see it again?
Yes, there we go.
Just checking.
I would suggest to you that if you're the real deal, other people are bragging about you. I think that is a strong indication that you indeed are the real deal. And this college gets bragged on by folks like the EDC boss in Marshall, the EDC boss in Waco, and in the other regions that we serve. We get bragged on by elected officials who then oversee the entire state government. I suggest we just might be the real deal, not because we say so, but because others do. And these folks right here are who make it happen. Right here. And there are 1,800 other teammates that are out there right now, not having to endure the chancellor comments. Let me give you another possible indication, because if that's not enough, how about this? Competition. How do you do in the face of competition, of others who aspire to be the real deal? Recently, we sent dozens and dozens and dozens of students to Corpus Christi, Texas, to compete in Skills USA. Now, as you know, Skills USA is like an Olympics of technology. You are competing against the other colleges head to head with usually corporate judges. These are industrial people who are looking at the competition or the work of the various students and judging them. TSTC did amazingly, which is no surprise because we've been in that position for 40 years. But let me read to you, we earned 72 medals in the competition this year. I want to read to you just the gold. Are you ready? Emergency medical technology, medical assisting, mechatronics, robotics, urban search and rescue, automated manufacturing technology, CNC 3-axis milling programmer, CNC 5-axis milling programmer, CNC programmer, aviation maintenance, CNC 2-axis programmer. We've dominated CNC. Dental assisting, engineering technology design, industrial motor controls, medical math, medical terminology, practical nursing, sheet metal. Do you see the diversity here? Um, Additive manufacturing, the newest wave of manufacturing. Electronic technology, architectural drafting, carpentry, information technology services, internetworking, which is the internet networking capabilities, plumbing, teamworks, which has to do with team dynamics, telecommunications cabling, and of course, welding fabrication. Those are just the gold medals. We swept all three medals at the state level in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those categories.
Wow.
Gold, silver, and bronze.
Wow.
So in June, all those gold medal winners are going to Atlanta, where we're going to compete for national medals in all of those situations. So if you think about those fields that we just went through, they tend to dominate in the critical areas that Texas needs right now and in these growth intensive decades to come. They're in the electric grid, they're in water and pipe fitting and recovery, they're in transportation, they're in construction, and they're in advanced manufacturing. These are the 5 infrastructure areas that legislators are most concerned about too. So through competition, I would suggest that by rising above the others, we have yet another indication we just might be the real deal. Not because we say so, but because we've earned it. So I wanted to, those sorts of things might be easy to overlook. So I wanted to bring them up today and acknowledge who it is that creates all this. So you'll hear us, this is why, this right here, the fact that we're already in a dominating position is an extra imperative on why it's so essential that we keep growing. And that's a theme you're going to hear throughout this meeting. If you'll hear from various vice chancellors and others, and that theme of growth is going to be here, you'll hear. And we're not just talking about enrollment. Enrollment is actually an input. It defines your possibilities, but not your results. Your results are achieved when you place a student. So we're going to focus on enrollment, there's no doubt about that. But we're also going to focus on things like donations. We're going to focus on workforce training. We're going to focus on students served in the industrial sector. We're going to grow our dual credit. There's all of these various impacts on Texas in these 5 areas that we are committed to growing in the years ahead. You'll hear that theme. Another theme you'll hear in this board meeting is operational maturity. We have a kind of a spirit of we did good here, but we can be even better still. And constantly challenging ourselves to be operationally better is what these people do every day. They are constantly asking, that's outstanding. Could we be better? And so you'll see that notion of maturing our capabilities. You'll hear that out of leadership as we go forward in this meeting. That notion of we can always be just a little bit better. And so in those 2 areas, I think what you'll see is we are really focused on ramping up the impact we have on Texas. And if we're able to do that, we'll be able to achieve what Senator Brian Birdwell said to you in a recent hearing, and that is, it's one thing to get to the mountaintop, which is being the real deal, but it's altogether something else to stay there. So on behalf of this entire team, I wanted to commit to y'all, our governing body, we intend to do everything in our power to remain the real deal. And with that, I turn the floor back to you, sir.
Thank you, Chancellor. Very good. We'll move on next to our, and that was under 60 minutes.
I yield my time back to the chair.
Very good. All right. So we'll get to the committee reports and minute orders. We'll begin that section of the agenda. First up is the Committee for Student Learning and Student Development. I'll now call on Lizzie De La Garza-Putnit.
Thank you, Chair. The Student Learning and Student Development Committee met virtually on Friday, May 9th, and joining our meeting was Provost Marcus Balk and Associate Vice Chancellor of Institutional Effectiveness and Research, Selena Garza. And Jonathan went over the different, the future plans for Midlothian. He kind of gave us a little preview of what we were going to witness at the tour with Gerda. But we had, I mean, at least for me, it was mind-blowing. When we were meeting during the committee, I had no idea it was going to be as fascinating as it, or as hot, but no, as fascinating as it was. And just piggybacking on what you said, you know, coming from economic development, we always talked about how workforce development has to be led by private industry. True workforce development has to be, you have to have industry buy-in, and they have to lead those efforts. And yesterday, that's exactly what I saw when Daniel, his name, right, plant manager Daniel, was speaking about TSTC, how effective TSTC is, and the partnership, and it's the real deal partnership. It's not just partnership just to say the word partnership because it sounds cool. Everything he explained, the apprenticeship program, how they work together, it was to me just fascinating. And after later that evening, I called Harlingen EDC CEO. I'm like, we need to do more of that. I explained to him, but it was just really, to me, it was very inspiring and just like a testament to how effective TSTC is. And I mean, the fact that he felt comfortable enough to propose his ideas of, you know, what could be was, to me, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And so, and again, like that's just speaks results from the partnership. So I thought that was just wonderful to see. Hopefully we can replicate more of that. Jonathan shared with the committee the focus areas for operations and an overview of the plans for fiscal year 2026. And we reviewed 2-minute orders that are in your board books. And I'll ask Selena Garza to present these to the board.
Thank you so much, Regent De La Garza, members of the board.
Before Selena begins, I'm going to interrupt you, Selena.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all have met Selena before, but Selena has been a critical member of the TSTC team for years and years now. What she leads right now is a group that does planning and accreditation, among other things. And though you haven't seen her very often, she's a prime example of the depth of talent that TSTC has in its leadership ranks. So having Selena standing in for Jonathan means student learning won't lose a step. So take it away, Selena.
Thank you, Chancellor. It's very sweet. I appreciate those comments. So you do have 2 proposed minute orders in your materials today. And I will give you a little bit of context before I propose them both. They are updates to our existing policy statements, and they're part of a larger effort of 2 accreditation self-studies we have underway. Those 2 accreditation studies we are submitting this summer. So a bit of context around that. During the self-study process with accreditation reviews, our accreditor asks us some really important questions, and one of those is whether our policies really match and align to what we're actually doing. So we undergo a comprehensive review of all of our SOSs, our policies, to ensure that's happening. And that alignment is really key for our accreditor both SACS-UC and the Post-Secondary Commission. We have two accreditations running kind of parallel to each other right now. And so the proposed changes you see in your board book are a part of that process, really our own self-evaluation of our policies and that alignment to what we're actually doing. So the first minute order is SL 0625, and that proposes an update to our ES 302 Scholastic Standards, SOS. So this revision reflects how TSCC identifies and responds to students whose academic performance may be placing them at risk. And a little context to that, Scholastic Standards fall within three primary categories. It's good standing, Scholastic's probation, and Scholastic suspension. And so what the updated policy statement does is it strengthens our response as an institution to when students are not meeting that good standing. That ensures, and directed by the board, right, through policy, that we are required to take timely and appropriate action when that happens through our support services. We have a wraparound support services in place, and this really the point of that is to help students get back on track. So ultimately, going back to policy and practice, this update brings policy more in line with the student-centered practices that we currently have in place. And the second minute order is SL 0725C, and that updates our policy on faculty expectations and workload. And essentially, the revised language in our policy statement shifts the focus from what's currently in the statement of fairness and equity to one that better reflects outcomes, expectations, and responsibilities, and really the role that faculty play in student success. The expectations, I will say, in the revised statement makes those expectations clearer. It recognizes the role that faculty plays through their effort, through their workload effort, to help maintain really program quality. Quality faculty-student interaction is really also emphasized here, and regardless of learning format, modality, and in all of our programs and out of our campuses. So essentially, and to kind of summarize what's proposed before you, these revised policy statements represent not just compliance with our accreditation standards and expectations, but also, as the chancellor said, our institutional maturity. Really, it's all about ensuring that our policies mature alongside our practices and our people. So with that, we ask for your consideration and approval of these updates to our policy statements as reflected in the minute orders. And I will entertain any questions.
Thank you, Selena.
Excellent, thank you.
Any questions? Okay,
Thanks
no
so much.
questions. Thank you, Chairman. That completes our report.
Thank you, Lizzie. I'll now call on Rob Misso, Chair of the Fiscal Affairs Committee. Rob?
Thank you, Chair. So on Friday, May 9th, we had the opportunity to meet and do some preparation for this meeting. I think I'm going to go back to what was said earlier about the TSCC and our mission and kind of what we're looking at towards the future. And this is a pretty incredible organization. I have the opportunity to go and meet with manufacturing associations across the state of Texas in a nonprofit role that I support. And it's just really very cool. It's statewide, people recognize and value what TSTC is doing. So it's really important. I think it has a lot of impact on the success of Texas in the future. It's growing and building that workforce to support all the work that's coming to Texas. And we have one opportunity to succeed. We can't slip. So when companies come here and organizations say, hey, I want to build my factory in Texas, we have to be able to staff it. Otherwise, they go somewhere else and they don't look back. And so I think TSCC is the backbone of that effort. So I think I'm very proud to be sitting here and supporting all of you. So it's pretty awesome. So we met on the 9th, and to discuss the minute orders and reports that are in front of you. The committee has right now 0 minute orders to consider and 6 reports in your materials for the board to hear. And Chad Wooten is going to present those to the board.
Thank you. So yes, no minute orders, only 6 reports this time. So that's good. And they are all routine reports. So we will cruise through them. The first one always is the quarterly investment report. This is our cash balances as of February 28th, halfway through the fiscal year. You can see compared to last quarter, our operating funds bumped up a bit. That is typical in this quarter, and so and even compared to last year, our operating funds are doing better. We do expect to spend these down over the next few months. We are right now in growth mode 100% as we're about to open the doors on new buildings at several campuses in the fall. So we're going to see payroll go up intentionally, and we'll talk about where we forecast these in the next couple pages. The other note on the investment report on the first page, we spent through $37 million in one quarter on CCAPs. It's a lot of cash disbursements, it's a lot of contracts, it's a lot of construction. So as Rick well knows, we are right in the thick of spending that money. So we're seeing that balance go down. Second page, you'll see our interest rate is in the ballpark there at 4.2%. The Fed, I believe, met last week. They did not change rates. There's been some discussion about if that will happen, but they seem pretty steady right now, which is good for us. And then finally on page 7, speaking about those reserves and how we're spending it, you'll see over the first 2 quarters in fiscal year 2025, we've built that reserve balance up a little bit. But we expect if we spend 100% of our budget, we expect that to finish at around $27 million for the year. Again, we are spending reserves this fiscal year in order to ramp up for growth.
I'd like to comment here if I could. One of the things that might be easy to overlook is this appears to be something of a hump and then a retreat here in the middle of this trend. This is the CARES years. This is when we had all that federal money on hand. And so it created a bit of an aberration. If you were to try to smooth that out, you'll see that we're just building prudent levels of reserves at a measured pace over time.
Any questions on the investment report? If you'll turn to page 8, that is the pledged collateral report. We were fully collateralized for the quarter, so that's what that report tells us. Starting on page 9, this is a semi-annual report. We give more details about the debt and the debt service of the college twice a year. And Anju and I certify that we are in compliance with our policy. If you'll look at page 10, you'll see our debt service budget for FY25 is right at $40 million, and over half of that is funded through state appropriations.
So your mortgage isn't $40 million a year, is it?
No.
Hope not.
Yeah, it's a lot of zeros on those calculations. Page 11 lists the current balance as of February 28th for the outstanding debt. I will say next fiscal year we will make our final payment on our HEAF bonds, stands for Higher Education Fund. So we will free up essentially $3 million in debt service to be used in the future after FY26. And we have not heard back from the bond rating agencies lately. We'll expect that later this summer. We'll probably go through another bond rating review, but those are holding steady. Any questions on the debt report?
How often they do those bond ratings? Do they do it quarterly or?
They do it annually, usually, but if you issue a new bond, they will review that issuance
Oh,
itself.
that's why we changed it, yeah. So
Yeah, and so our last issuance actually was in 2024. We borrowed the $50 million to acquire the land in Midlothian and in Hutto. They did it's like a one-time special review every time you issue new debt. So. Page 13 is our budget performance report. Getting to the bottom line, you'll remember that we budgeted to use $7 million of reserves. And taking that, we had a balanced budget. Our forecast today is we may make up just a little ground on that. We may only have to use 5 or 6 million, 4 to 6, I guess you would say. The way we're getting to that forecast tuition, we're seeing it come in very strong in the spring and the summer. We originally didn't think we were going to hit our tuition budget, but the spring and the summer really made up some good ground for us, so that's on track. And most of our other revenue sources are on track as well. There is some, with federal grants especially, right now, you never know what's up in the air on that. So we're continuing to watch that. That forecast could change. And then in terms of operating expenses, we dialed some of them back to make sure that we didn't get too far into our reserves. And quite honestly, from today until August 31st, our payroll is going to go at a pretty high clip as we bring on literally dozens of new faculty positions to fill the new programs that we are opening at the new buildings. We've planned for that, but you never know exactly what's going to happen until it happens. And so we'll continue to watch it very closely. But as of right now, we are forecasting to end up where we had hoped to be.
How many FTEs do you think that's going to be, or ads?
I think the last look, it was 60.
Well, 60, yeah.
Well, and that includes just the growth to existing programs. Our enrollment has gone up pretty significantly this year with no new buildings. And so once we add new buildings and continue to grow the existing programs, that total, I'm thinking, is about 60. And it's not all faculty. The new buildings will have to have, maintenance folks.
Yeah, we
And
need some folks, right?
yeah, so, but we've worked very closely with all the vice chancellors, and I think we have a pretty good peg target on it, so. Any other questions on that?
I've got a question. Actually, maybe it's more from an HR perspective. How difficult is it to find and hire good faculty to support the growth? I know it's hard to find skilled labor in the manufacturing space. How about in our world?
I'd say we've been very successful at it. Yeah, I think the key is keeping track with the demand. That's really what we're looking to do better. And that anticipation higher before the need, before we were kind of reacting to the need. And then that was a scurrying, but when we have now this forecasting, Chad and Jonathan, they've worked very collaboratively. I mean, just workforce planning, boy, it's a whole new thing now for us here at TSDC. So when Chad's talking about this exercise of forecasting, that just puts my team in a much better, we've got a countdown thing going on here, to D-Day. Literally, and I've got just a new talent acquisition leader. She is a firecracker. I say that with love. She is spicy and out there, and she loves industry. And like what we did yesterday, boy, she would be a field day looking, would you like to, TSCC, And so that's where we're going, industry. We're looking for that talent. Yeah.
And think about working at Gerdau, for example, and imagine the nature of that work and how tough it is on you. And then imagine you have reached a point in your and maybe you're in something like power lineman or healthcare where the hours are incredibly long, and you have kids. And now they're starting to go to Little League and stuff like that. And you're missing opportunities to have a life that your employment is challenging. The idea of sleeping in your own bed 7 days a week, as opposed to being itinerant profession, well earning, but itinerant, Or you might be a power lineman and your knees wear out. These are folks with incredible know-how that we can target and say, how would you like a job where you know, instead of being in a steel mill, you go into an air-conditioned lab? How would you like that? And that's how when Pam says we target industry, there are people whose mid-career inflection points avail us an opportunity to recruit. And so we get good talent that knows exactly what they want. And the thing I often hear with new employees is, I was so hoping I could come to work at TSTC. You hear that all the time. I was really hoping I could get on with you guys. So it's not easy, but I do think we've become something of an employer of choice.
Yeah, and I'll simply add, our brand precedes us, which is what I think our chancellor was saying earlier. Folks know of us. I have the privilege of welcoming new hires typically every Monday, and we average anywhere from 15 to 20, you know, particularly now. This is our high season as we're moving into the summer. And that's exactly what they're saying. Because I always ask their story. I say, I can tell you so much about TSCC, but I am so excited to hear what is your journey to us. And they just, sometimes I just like have to sit on my hands. Like, I don't even need to say welcome anymore. You guys are having my whole script. But think about it. Yesterday, we asked, right? Lizzie and I were all in the business yesterday. Those folks work 12-hour shifts. They're open 24 hours. They're working 12-hour shifts. There's no consistency in that shift, meaning they could be 4 days on, 3 days off. They could be days and then they're nights. To the chancellor's point, that quality of life, well, that's going to get kind of old at some point. Now, all of them are hourly. So think about it. We just talked about hourly, 40 hours a work week. But think about the math. That's 72 hours. I mean, right? If they're picking up those shifts, so you see, that's a big drawing card if you're physically, mentally able to do that. It's not necessarily sustainable over time. So we watch that, those connections, those love letters. We're out there with them, and it's an open invitation. We're looking for that skill set. So that's the key: workforce planning, tighter alignment, but then being right there in their space and inviting them. But our reputation, really, our brand precedes us. Yeah.
That's all culture.
Yeah, we've made a lot of progress on it, and as we grow, we're going to have to continue to plan. It's a big part of our work. So, moving on to page 15 is a quarterly report of smaller leases that the board delegated authority to management. You'll see one updated lease here. This is for Air Methods. They are a helicopter group on our airport in Waco. They do emergency medical flights, and so they extended their term a little bit. And then on page 16, no new contracts over $1 million this time, which is a nice little break. We did update one of significance, which is the Workday ERP system contract. We took that out longer term, so it now goes until 2030. We're obviously committed to Workday. Nobody has an appetite to change anytime soon, I know. So we would all be new talent somewhere else.
We just had instant PTSD.
But we did we extended it out to 2030, which we got better pricing for that longer term on that contract. We spend just under $2 million a year for that suite. And that concludes our reports. I will say we're working on our plan for FY26 now. We're into the thick of budget season at the college. Everybody's submitting their budgets, their plans. We'll be going through that, and we'll see you in August with our annual presentation.
Chad, thank you very much.
You bet.
I want to commend, if I could, Chad and Selena before you conclude this committee. You heard Chad say budget and planning. one of the maturation efforts that we've done over the past few years is to continue to, let's call it corporatize the way that we do that sort of thing. And it's driven by this philosophy. A budget without a plan is just careless spending. A plan without a budget is wishful thinking. And that the right way to do each of those is together. And so Chad and Selena have been chief architects among some really talented people on those teams in terms of maturing the way we do this. And this is one of those multi-year things where you aren't going to go from 0 to 100 in one cycle. It's going to take us a while. But they have done a laudable job of getting better and better and better. In a situation in which capital often constrains what your possibilities are, it makes it ever more important that we do that really well. Because as we've talked about before, a big challenge at TSTC is saying no to worthy ideas because we don't have the capacity to do all the great ideas we can encounter. Planning and budgeting is where that reconciliation occurs. So I just wanted to commend those two in particular, and the other. There's a lot of teammates I'm leaving out there, but they've worked with the vice chancellors in really making us more mature, and there's still more room to grow.
Thank you. So Chairman, can I have one more second here? So I've got one additional note.
Time's up.
I'd like to share. One second. Yeah.
Okay, time's up.
No, okay. Maybe 30 seconds.
Okay,
So
you got it.
So I want to do a shout out to the procurement division, so led by Eric Vogelsinger, and the property management team led by Jeff Riley for receiving the National Association of Educational Procurement NAEP Innovation Award for TSTC's RFID project, which I think is pretty awesome. No, I think it's pretty incredible. That's just us leading in technology as a institution in Texas. I think is pretty incredible. And that's all I have.
Another one of those real deal moments.
It's a real deal.
That's awesome.
That is the real deal for sure.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. All right, I'll now call on Curtis Cleveland, member of the Facilities Committee, and you're reporting on behalf of Keith. Is that right?
Correct.
Today?
So the Facilities Committee met on Monday, the 12th. Rick Herrera and his team are extremely busy with all our CCAP project. And Kevin Simeon is extremely busy taking care of our 10 campus. It's full of facilities, making sure that we're doing proper maintenance and appreciation planning. So Rick has 2-minute orders. We'll turn it over to Rick.
Thank you, Curtis. We do have 2-minute orders. The first one starts with my apology. As part of the requirement from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, we're supposed to submit a form where we certify certain items, and the form is right after the minute order if you want to take a look at it. But we forgot to do that. We missed that opportunity when we started CCAT. We partnered with our legal department and started researching the implications of that, and there's really none. It's a formality in the process, and you fill out the form where you're disclosing certain requirements that the code board sets forth, but not submitting the form doesn't preclude you from constructing. How you answer the form doesn't change your design either. So irregardless of the timeliness, we would have still continued our projects in the manner and the way that we did. So it really doesn't impact us, but it is a formality that we missed. So I start with my apology on that oversight. The background on it does give you an idea of what it is they're trying to accomplish. And on the additional information, it gives you an explanation on space utilization. I bring that up because the way we design our buildings, we're not going to meet that requirement. The space utilization and the calculation, the way it's calculated, it's more for traditional higher ed. classroom type environments or higher ed lab environments that aren't as massive and needy or in space as ours are. So we're always going to start with no.
Yeah.
Right, but that's because we're different, right? A lot of what we do, and if you visit any of our facilities, you'll see the enormity of the facility that traditional higher ed does not need, right? So I just wanted to point that out. But again, it was an oversight on our part.
So Rick, you do that for each project, has a
Yes,
form
sir.
specific to that
So
project?
this will delegate the authority for us to submit the form. We will submit the form for all the projects that need it. What we'll do different as we going forward, when we bring you a minute order to approve the construction project, in that minute order will also include the delegation to submit that form. So we'll do it at the same time.
This is a blanket for
This
everything
is the
today?
blanket for all the rest, yes. Ed, do you have anything to add to that?
No, everything you said is right.
First time.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. So again, that's what that is. Again, looking at the form, like I said, the very first item on there, board standards regarding space needs are met? No. And the board statement is referring to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, not our Board of Regents. Any questions on all that? Okay, the second minute order is similar to what Selena Garza described earlier about our policies and practices. Here we're updating an internal policy for construction. The only major difference on it, when you look at the recommended minute order, on the opening statement, it was still referring to the college as a system, which was under the old way on how we had policies created at the system level. And this is changing it back to the way we operate under a single accredited college as just college. So that, aside from that, the policy is pretty much the same. We did update some of the procedures, but the policy statement itself remains the same.
So Rick, I'm going to go back to that. Just another quick question on the first one you
Yes,
talked
sir,
about.
go ahead.
So do we have CCAP projects that are completed that we have to do this form
Yes,
for
sir.
as well? So we're going to go back in time as far as we need to
Back
go.
as all the ones that we missed
And
and
that's
submit
and
the form.
that the chancellor will sign up on those.
Right, and
then-
we have conversations with the Higher Education Coordinating Board. They are aware, so they know that we're going through this process of seeking the.
Even if it's a completed project, it's not an issue.
Right, yes, sir, there is no impact.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, Rick.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
is this a form that all of us have to?
No.
No.
No, this is all higher ed, schools do. What do you mean by all of
Because it
them?
says Board of Regents certification form.
Yes,
Oh.
so
What
you all
that
are delegating the authority as a board for us to submit this form.
The law allows you, literally, the law allows you to delegate that authority to Rick, the chancellor and his designee, and that's all that the minute order is about.
Okay.
It-
So like
It's
they'll.
not individual regents.
That's
No,
right.
Okay,
it's-
that's
it's
why I was
you-
confused. Okay.
Yeah, it's you as a board certifying to the co-board.
Okay.
And what they use all this for is to populate their database.
Right.
They have a big database about facilities. And that's what this form does, is it adds the nature of our facilities to their master database that they keep on all of higher ed. It's required to be certified by you, the board, not individuals, and you are delegating that certification authority to me.
All right.
Any other questions or comments? As part of the reports, I did place a little folder on your table. In there, we have the construction update that we use every quarter. It has a timeline and whatnot. It also consists of a closed session minute order for real estate property that we'll talk in closed session. In the binder, we also have our major facility project status update. Again, we amended that to be more financial in nature and not project completion. Project completion is on the report in your folder.
Hey, you got a couple of 90%ers in there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
They're coming to an end. It's exciting stuff. I also prepared a video that IT is gonna queue up. The video is an aerial view of all the projects. So you can see the current progress as of April. And it also includes an aerial type view of the renderings of the new conceptual campus site plan. Thank you. That concludes the presentation. I'll just emphasize these are conceptual site plans. It was about how do we best utilize the available space, buildable space, egress, whatnot. Architects it into sunset and sunrise and wind and all that other good stuff. So they're subject to change. Any questions or comments?
Nice. Some big buildings in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of buildings.
You know, the Midlothian one with that, what do you call that, walkway, over interconnecting all the buildings was new, different, because, traditionally.
Because the water going through, right, or the creek.
Yeah, the river on the side, but, we don't have a single location that has every single building tied to one another, right? So it makes it, the concept makes it easier for tours. And the walkway is at a raised level, so you'll constantly be looking down into the labs, which is something that we're including in all designs now for faculty to have better visibility into the lab, but looking down from the second floor down into the lab itself. So kind of cool stuff either way, right? But again, it is a concept. All right, thank you.
And with a modest personal donation of 200 million each, we can build out those plans.
Well, darn, we have to have money to do that.
So just as busy as Rick is building these things, we have 10 campuses with buildings that Kevin has to make sure are in good operational conditions. So he's got a little update for us.
Yes, sir. So at our facility meeting, we had a update of our deferred maintenance, a year-to-date update. So well on task of spending our deferred maintenance capital. So the team is looking good as far as the budget is for this fiscal year. So no minute orders today, but last year this time we're in Marshall, and I did an update about campus services. So I want to talk to you guys about that. In front of you or near you, you should have a booklet. I'll just give you a little bit about a little bit more information about our campus services team and some of the things that we've worked on over the last year. So real quick, I have most of my folks in the audience. If you guys would stand up. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. So I think you've met most people, but I really want to kind of spotlight. We have our police chief, been with us maybe 2 months now. So welcome, Howard, to your first board meeting. And so we're super excited to have him, as well as all our leaders, here with us today. Oh, one person is not here, and that's Gordon, our airport manager. Has a couple big projects going on at the airport today. So if you guys would take a look at the, we'll flip over to airport. You know, we're really proud of our airport. When we talk about TSTC Waco Airport, the longest runway of any college or university in the U.S., it's super proud for us, right? But as you can see, we do pretty well when it comes to making a little revenue there, right? So 3.7 million for this fiscal year, year to date. We've invested 400,000 out of our budget, but one other benefit that we have is we have the support of TxDOT and the FAA. So we get quite a bit of money, federal dollars, to support the airport. So those two projects that are occurring this week are being funded through the government. We also have on the horizon a $1.8 million project to upgrade the lights specifically on the runway, right? Because we are a 24-hour public airport that any pilot can land into. That's super important for us to have the best lighting and safety around the airport. So another thing we're really working on doing, because when we look at the opportunities for the airport, we've exhausted all our space, hangar space. So we have a lot of land. So we continue to look for opportunities to do that. And we're looking now to try to diversify as much as possible in the future. So you'll probably hear some of those things over the next year.
And it looks like we have an upgraded tower communication equipment.
Yes.
Awesome. It's safer to fly here than Newark, New Jersey.
Yes.
Awesome.
Hopefully they'll catch up, right?
Yeah, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Do we have any federal FAA assets that related to just that
Yeah,
would
like-
fall under some of that infrastructure improvement? they're
Yeah, we
talking
have one that's again happening today. It's a weather observation system that they actually put in and fund that, right? So that helps again as pilots come in, they have the equipment in the aircraft to help to support and help tell them what the weather's going to be like, wind and everything on the airport. The other one for you guys to know is we have a tower, right? We have our air traffic control tower, and the federal government funds that. So that is all funded through the federal government. So again, more benefits for us, and
That
it's
wasn't
rare.
always true.
Yeah.
20 years ago, we didn't have the tower.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, the airport wasn't in the condition it's in today. The FAA uses block grants through TxDOT and the other state transportations. And on a matching basis, we get, that's what Kevin means by the federal money. We get a lot of opportunities to upgrade. So the tower was built and now we have air traffic controllers in it. Radar,
Yes.
did we add it?
Yes.
Radar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything you need to be to fly in and out self-sufficiently, or in our case, because we have so many leasees or people on the airport, you do have the support from 7 to 11. After hours, people can fly in at their own leisure.
So we don't have a program to train air traffic controllers, correct?
Okay, that's a long story.
Is that a long story?
Mike would love to talk about. Oh, Bettis would love
I've
to
been,
talk
on,
about
I've been
that.
on 3 flights in the last week. They were all delayed, not because of weather, not because of the aircraft, because they didn't have air traffic controllers where we were flying into.
So, but I can do in 60 seconds, I can do the short version.
Okay. Sorry.
Yes. So for years and years, to be an air traffic controller, you have to go through the academy up in Oklahoma. It's the federal training center. We had an air traffic controller program, and there was 2 other colleges in Texas who also had them, and they were all over the country. For some reason, we've never truly understood, the FAA changed the rules. Our graduates used to get preferred entry into the academy because they already had training. And the pass rate of our graduates through the academy was 100%. Indeed, a lot of the instructors at the National Academy were our graduates. Then the FAA, through some intention to try to make things better, scrambled that admissions thing in such a way that our graduates got no preferred opportunity to enter the academy. They were in the lottery system along with everybody else. And so it killed the program because it made no sense for people to come spend their time and money with us and then go to the academy and have to and stand in line with everybody else.
Mhm.
And so we had to shutter the program because the bottom dropped out of it. And the government relations people used every possible effort they could to try to reach Washington and tell them, you're really causing more problems here than you're solving, and it just didn't, it fell on deaf ears. How was that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's too bad, but it's perfect.
And let me say one last thing about the airport. When I first started working with the airport, we had a transition, but we weren't getting a whole lot of funding, right? And learned quite quickly that you needed to attend conferences, you needed to be present, right? And so all of a sudden we just started getting dollars. And that's part of the job, right? Is to get out there and rub elbows and make sure they know that our airport is in need and wants to have it, right? And so we recently had a airport layout plan update. And once you do that, that puts you on the books for any federal dollars for major projects, kind of like the 1.8 million. The engineering study that was done tells them that, hey, we need to upgrade this equipment. Or one example is they recommend that we buy land to the north and the south of the airport. So those updates help us to plan out the next 10, 15 years and what we need to do around the airport. So pretty important as we continue to grow and thrive. If you look at the next group, auxiliary services. So, I get real excited about this stuff, guys, if you can hear me, right? But over the last couple of years, we've seen our numbers just jump off the charts. But a lot had to do with Elvira and her team and providing better quality products for our students, our staffs. And so super excited about the direction that we're going in. When we talk about auxiliary services and the possibilities that are there, we really see the opportunities, and we're going to keep pushing the envelope there. So one of the other things you'll see under the campus store is that we've moved from inclusive access. We moved from one vendor, which was Red Shelf, to Ambassador, and partly because you just didn't get the support that the team on the ground needed, but also the student. So right now, things are moving pretty well for us. We just ramped up for the summer. We're expecting big things from Ambassador in the fall. So we're super excited about that relationship as well as we continue to move the needle on supporting our students as we continue to grow. If you look at the next page under our food services, probably heard this before from me and a lot of folks. We started adding micro markets to the campuses that didn't have food options, and the campuses that we have cafes in is super important. You guys know this if you're in a big city, you'll see this on the news sometimes. When the health department goes to a restaurant and you don't do well, they broadcast it, right? So big kudos to our team because we average some really good numbers. That means when we talk about the back of the house, that's your kitchen, they're doing a good job of keeping it clean, maintaining it, and as well as our food prep and quality, right? So big deal when it comes to reputation.
Kevin, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
the auxiliary services, the increase in the Waco campus,
Yes,
what was the factor that made it such a big increase?
Well, one of the big things that we've seen is tool sales is huge for us, right? And that's at all the campuses. And Waco, part of that. Another part is the team on the ground, right? You really have to sell your merchandise, right? And the partnership with the instructors and our operational team helps out dramatically. If you start to see the numbers in some of the other areas, it's you see the growth because we didn't even have campus stores in some locations, right? And with partnerships with our provosts, we've taken closets literally and turned into campus stores. So the revenue from that is just putting the merchandise out in front of our students and the staff and people that visit the campus so they can have access to it. So we're continuing to expand that around the state as well. Fort Bend is, I think, coming up next, and we're working on, we expanded Sweetwater, but we're working on refining that design there. So a lot of it is putting it in front of the customer. Yeah. Now, I'll talk about this group here, printing and production. Super excited about what we see in this area. If you guys, a lot of you have been on the board before, the material you see in front of you, they do that. But we've really expanded the capabilities in our print production areas over the last year. You can see the new equipment that we've purchased. If you just look at the merchandise you see in the pictures, we're doing those things now. Rick was referencing we have the signage over here, right? And they took care of this as well. So the coaster on the table, that's yours to take, but they did this also. So we're super proud and excited about the technology we have at hand and the capability to continue to grow that, right? So our team has done a dramatic job in growing that piece of the business. And hopefully in the future, we might step out a little bit into the public sector and try to do a little bit of outside of TSTC if we can grow that side as well. The next page, we'll look at our facilities team. So as I mentioned earlier, in November, we'll do a full facilities report about deferred maintenance and other things that's happening. But one thing I like to spotlight is down at the bottom, you see emergency event success. The state of Texas, as you guys know, now every year we've had a winter storm. In Harlingen recently, we had 16 plus inches of rain that impacted the community. And so as you look around our state and our campuses, our team has to be very responsive to making sure that we can get the campus up and running in the event of natural disasters. So they've done a tremendous job of putting us in the best position to get campuses up and running. So we've been super fortunate, but when things happen, they're ready to take care of us.
Talk about a hailstorm.
Yes.
Sure. What you do.
Oh, the example for that. Oh, yeah. Oh, great example. So I'll use this because 2 or 3 weeks ago, you guys know this, right? The chancellor made a comment at one of our leadership meetings. He saw one of our vehicles out in the parking lot, and we had a space for it. And he mentioned just all the leadership. Hey, last year at this time, right? Mike had a bad experience with hail for his personal vehicle, as you guys were aware of. But he said, we need to work on make sure we have a plan for all our vehicles in the event that happens. So I got on the horn to the team and said, hey, what's our plan in the event we have hail? And lo and behold, weather came in. And it started probably that first week or two, right? And so our teams do have a plan for vehicles that we have. We take advantage of, like Rick said, the open spaces. So we partner with the provost on those campuses and try to get the vehicles inside of covered areas to minimize, it's not always perfect, but to minimize hail damage or other damage that could occur to vehicles and assets that we have. So thank you, Regent Cleveland, for reminding me about that one. So take a look at our police department. Just mentioned the chief, but we've brought in a lot of folks. PD is really a challenging, and Pam can talk to that as well, area to recruit and to maintain a good team because everybody is in competition when you look at the agencies around the state. But we have ramped those numbers up. If you look at the picture at the very bottom, just last month, the chief and I were at a swearing-in ceremony in Sweetwater. And this is the first time they've been up to staff, fully up to staff, probably in 2 years at least. So we're happy to see that our numbers going in the right direction. Definitely happy to have Howard on our team to help lead some of those efforts. And again, you look at this, we are investing in our police department, right? We want to give them all the tools, and they do tons of training. I got to tell you, some that are required and others to make them more qualified as officers and leaders. So we'll hit on housing. Man, that's a topic, right? Every time I see Bettersworth, we laugh about it. But our housing has just been off the charts. We've seen applications come in. I think in Waco now, Patty, right? We had to close the application process for the fall because we are full at this point, and we're not even officially, in summer, right? Or are we close? And so we really see that number going up around the state. So we're taking advantage of that. Patty's team has just went live with our Star Res system. It puts us in the same realm with all colleges and universities, but it gives Patty the tools to be able to see everything that's happening in those dorms or apartments that we have around the state, so they can make smart decisions on filling those spaces. She also has the luxury, the fun of having our student life and engagement area. And this year we've done a lot of activities to give our students that true feel of campus life activities, right? So we see the responses, we see the participation continue to increase. So just big kudos to Patty and her team for continuing to push the envelope on that. Again, we go back after COVID, we had 0, and now those numbers continue to go up. And we're getting positive responses from our students in regards to that. And then lastly, take a look at our safety and risk area. That's Guillermo and his team. And he also has fleet. So if you look at the very top, I mentioned to you guys probably a board meeting or 2 ago about our key system. So this is an automated key box system that employees get a code. They get to put that code in the system. They retrieve the key, but it minimizes the impact to the employee that has to maintain that, but also gives the employee that's picking up the vehicle freedom to get it at the time they need it and not have to be in delay. If you look at the next picture, all the life safety equipment that we have out in our campuses. One thing, when Guillermo came in, we identified we had some opportunity because some of that equipment was getting older and starting to age out. So everything, I can tell you, everything today is up to date and meets the standards that we set for that. And then lastly, training. If you see the very top bullet, decrease in student incidents, that's because we're shifting that culture, and that was part of the goal, right? To get the culture of safety out to our students and our staff. So we're seeing a lot of positive from that. So a lot happening in campus services. I do have a small, short video for you guys to check out. Hopefully you see a few faces that you might recognize. So Adam, if you would.
Campus services, our goal is to make sure that we support all our customers.
In the mornings, first thing I do is inspect our runways, taxiways, and ramps to look for any foreign object debris. I'm ensuring before any airplanes take off for the day that, it's a safe departure or arrival. Guiding young people is very important, and if you can influence them in a positive manner, that's what it's all about.
Our men and women are dedicated. I think more important than anything, they're committed to the growth of not only TSTC, but the growth of the students. We go out and we try to engage the students and staff. We want to bridge the gap between law enforcement and our student body so that they understand that they can enlist us at any time they need us, whether it's something positive or negative.
It is incredible working for the school where I studied. It was a dream of mine to get back into printing. I was an intern, and now I'm excited to be helping other students as they come through the programs.
I help the students and their families as they come in, whether it's finding merchandise or if they're needing books for their classes, making sure they have all their supplies for that class. Helping a family or a student, it is the most wonderful feeling to me. I can't say enough how much I enjoy just knowing I helped that person.
I come in and help start breakfast. I go to the registers and get them set up, assist with meal plans, and make sure the shelves are stocked. The interaction I get to have with the students is why I stay here. I get to see them grow and develop. It makes me feel like I did right.
I want everyone to be safe. I have a passion for helping people and finding solutions to keep everyone safe and sound.
When I drive onto a campus, I can automatically feel pride seeing that every building we touch, every building that we go into, we make a huge impact.
I think our job as a plumbers is very important because without us behind the scenes, make sure everything is working the way it needs to be working, it won't operate.
There's a lot of positive and there's a lot of good things that come from getting involved in student organizations and intramural sports and different campus events. Studies have shown that an involved student is a successful one. So making sure that our outreach is big and it's strong will allow those students to go ahead and come in and take, advantage of the resources that we have.
What motivates me to serve here is knowing that I am helping students build their future. It's knowing that I was able to help in that.
To see them come in at one level and to be there to mentor them and then sit back and actually watch them do it. That's the cool part.
In campus services at TSTC, we're united in service, stronger in teamwork.
Just show them and really want to continue to encourage what we're striving to do, and that's to increase that customer service passion around the state. So super excited and love what we're doing. Thank you, guys. Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I hope y'all can see that the level of professionalism and the steady trend of ever upward expectations is something that we've realized under Kevin's leadership. He's really done an outstanding job.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Real quick, let me just say this. I gotta give good kudos. Elvira, please, if you would. Most of the time, they just tell me where to be at, right? And to try to be ready to do it. But Elvira came with an idea. How can we, promote what we're doing, right? And she gave me the idea, and we talked about it, and really she ran with it, coordinating everything and getting it all prepared. So again, big kudos to her and the team and all the people that participated. So thank you.
That concludes our report, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Nice report. I'll now call on Kathy Stewart, Chair of our General Administration Committee.
All right, thank you. The General Administration Working Group met by Zoom meeting on Monday, May the 12th. We discussed a lot of different things, really great things that all the divisions are working on. And I don't have anyone specifically to present any material, so I'm going to highlight some of the conversation that we had in our committee meeting. Starting with the people who make TSTC what it is and what it will be, Pam over in HR is really leading to mature the operations and modernize processes that will improve service delivery for employees and those who aspire to work at TSTC. HR is also enhancing the promotion of a vast array of benefits and perks that are available to employees, and we're very excited to hear about that, but specifically really making sure the employees know what those perks are. Because it's great if you have a list, but if nobody knows what they are, they can't come take advantage of them. Claudia's division over in external relations, they are in a season of growth. We all know she's a firecracker, as somebody said earlier. The TSTC Foundation set a goal of $5.6 million in cash donations for this current fiscal year, and they are already at 64% of that goal, which is just awesome. And that's due to the work, the team really looking at different ways to ask for donations and to seek funding. So that's awesome. Career Services currently has a placement rate of about 90%, while they're also assisting students in all aspects of finding that job. Remember, we do have a guarantee. You will have a job offer, not a job, but you'll have a job offer within 6 months of graduation. So they're really working to get people placed in jobs. In the accelerated training portion of what we do, this is where they're providing non-credit training across the state. We have already brought in $3.2 million in revenue this year by training 1,600 Texans statewide. There's a lot of work going on besides just on our campuses. They also just recently secured a partnership with the Texas Trucking Association, and they're finalizing a large grant through the Texas Workforce Commission to deliver even more training statewide. Dale over in technology, information technology, those busy guys, they're focusing on upgrading systems and processes while keeping the college data safe and secure, which we know is a big deal. Integrated marketing, led by Michael over here. They're also growing in a season of growth. Enrollment numbers are up in the spring by 11% and up for the summer already by 18%. Fall enrollment is going well, and they expect an increase in that fall enrollment, obviously, in June and July as we continue. We are keeping a close eye on student loan default rates. As I'm sure you all know, there's been a change in the administration at the federal level. And so now students are actually expected to pay back their loans. Funny that. So default rates didn't matter for the last 4 years. Now it matters again whether our students are repaying their loans. We are aware of that. TSTC has had a historically low rate of defaults. But we do expect there'll be a little bit of a jump as this kind of changes and works its way out. But it is on the radar, and they're keeping an eye on that. And then, I don't know, Gail's team, I don't know why we're even talking about Gail's team. But the Austin group has been working really, really hard at the Capitol. What are we, like 2 weeks away from the end of this session?
19 days.
Not that she's counting, but 19 days. The stakes are really high. Things are going really well. But we don't really have anything to report at this point. We just have to wait till the last gavel falls. And I mean, we talked for almost an hour in our committee meeting. So it was really, really good information. And hopefully next time we'll have something specific, more specific to share. Are there any questions? I'm sure someone in the room could answer them if there were. All right. So that is our report.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. So that concludes our committee section of the agenda. And so what we'll do now, for the open meeting of the TSTC Board of Regents, after proper posting and for the specific purposes provided in the Texas Open Meeting Act, including those in Subchapter D, will recess, and the closed meeting will begin shortly. So we'll ask the public to retire. Sorry, you're going to stay here.
Don't move yet.
Right.
Are we leaving? We're going to, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to go to the closed meeting in another room. So you guys are good in here, and then
We'll be back.
like that. So
And
we'll retire.
Jason and Ed and I are going to join you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Ed, Jason, and Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, so we will retire now. Is that it?
Grammarly provides a bunch of different suggestions to improve the correctness and style of your writing. Clarity suggestions
Okay, very good. The open meeting of the TSTC Board of Regents has reconvened at 2:25 p.m. So we'll now consider the consent agenda. At this time, any regent can request that an item or items be removed from the consent agenda so it can be considered by the board as a separate action item. Regents, are there any such amendments to the, or any amendments to the consent agenda? So those we'll do after the
New business.
New business, okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve all the items contained in the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Curtis? Kathy, second. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, or all in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes have it. Thank you. Now we get an unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? New business. Is there any new business?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, we have 2 minute orders to approve. One is from audit. That would be minute order IA 01-25C. We have another from, I know, what's your committee called? Facilities. We have another minute order from facilities. It's CS 05-25. I recommend we approve these minute orders.
Is that a motion?
Those are motion.
Second. Second? Thank you, Lizzie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Passes. Thank you all. Mr. Chancellor, any comments?
I'd like to thank Val Smith and her team and Marcus Balch and his team for hosting and conducting a wonderful meeting. I think we owe Tiffany a word of thanks to hanging in on a virtual meeting that lasted this long.
Well, thank you all for hosting me.
And with that, I'll concede the rest of my time back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chancellor. So the next Board of Regents meeting is scheduled for August 27th and 28th at the Waco campus. Make sure the air conditioners are working, Kevin?
I'll get started on that right now.
All right, perfect, perfect. I know you will. Regents, do we have any final comments before we adjourn?
I do, Chairman.
Yes.
I just wanted to thank the audiovisual team and IT for everything that they do. You know, usually you don't recognize what the IT and AV team does until things go wrong. And in this scenario, everything went right. So I really wanted to thank them for their efforts. And I'm not sure if Dale is there, but I had an opportunity to meet with him. Hi, I can't see you, but hello. I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you're doing on all of the TSTC campuses to improve the student and user experience through the upgrade of equipment. We're really, really lucky and blessed to have the funds to do it, and thank you for making those implementations. Appreciate it.
Great comment. And as somebody with an 18-hour-old laptop, I feel that pain of things not working. It's a nightmare. Any other comments?
That's all, sir.
That's great. Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah, and I'll just say, and every time I come here, man, what a great campus, and the buildings at TSCC are really impressive. Every time you drive up to them, it's got great curb appeal, and that helps. And heard exciting things about the 93 students in the electrical power program here. So that was hardly nothing just a few years ago. Now it's 93. That's awesome. So things are good. Things are happening. Good things are happening. And great meeting. It was short, normal meeting. Next time you get 20 minutes, not 60. And with that, again, thanks to everybody for all the hard work. We got good things going on. We're seeing that. We're living it. We are making a difference, and for that we appreciate. And with that, we are adjourned.